Ladies and gentlemen, so nice to see you all. This week, I would like to talk about a very interesting subject. You know, sometimes there are some parts of the parasha that we don't really know well. This is going to be one example. In order to understand that, I'm going to share with you just a screen. Give me a second. I'm not so professional at that. Okay, so it's just to read 3 pesukim together so we understand what we're talking about. Okay, here we go. All right, do you see the source here? It's just 3 pesukim I want to read with you. So let's start from the pasuk Aleph. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. So chapter 35, pasuk Aleph. Vayomer Elokim el Yaakov. This is after the story of the sons of Yaakov who destroyed the city of Shechem. So God says to Yaakov, Kum ale Bet-El v'shev sham. Arise and go up to Bethel and remain there. V'aseh sham mizbeach. He's commanding him to build an altar. La'el hanir'eh elecha, to Hashem who appears to you. He's going back, referring to the beginning of the story when Hashem helped Yaakov to escape his brother Esav. So as a thanks, Korban Todah, to thank Hashem, is commanding him to do that. Vayomer Yaakov el beto ve'el kol asher imo. So Yaakov turns to his household, whoever was accompanying him. Hasiru et Elohei hanechad asher betochechem. Remove all the idols that are with you, which means that he already knows that they own Avodah Zarah. V'yitaharu, purify yourselves, v'achlifu sifnotechem, and change your clothes. Why? Because you're going to the service, you're going to be serving Hashem, you bring a korban, you have to be ready for that. So therefore you have to clean yourself spiritually and get rid of the idols that you have. You know, of course, the question that comes to mind is, the Bnei Yaakov, the children of Yaakov, they had idols? All right, pasuk 3, v'nakuma v'na'ale Bet-El. Let's get up and go to Bet-El. V'eseh sham mizbeach, and I'm going to offer the korban on the mizbeach. La'ela oneh oti b'yom tzarati, to the God who is always with me whenever I need, whenever I have a problem. V'hi imadi b'derech asher halachti, who was with me whenever I needed him on the road. Pasuk 4 is the most interesting. Vayitenu el Yaakov et kol Elohei hanechal asher be'adam. Indeed, they had idols with them, so they give them to Yaakov. Ve'et hanizamim asher be'oznehem, even the rings or the earrings that they had in the ears, which contained idols. And what did Yaakov do with them? Vayitmon otam Yaakov tachat ha'elah asher im Shechem. Yaakov, what did he do with them? He buried them under an oak tree, Asher im Shechem, that was near Shechem. So the story is pretty clear. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. We have some questions. We're going to try to answer them. But in the meantime, what we see here is that Yaakov Avinu is asking for the idols to be confiscated and to get rid of them. So what is he going to do? He's going to bury them. There's a pit next to a big tree. He said, I'm going to remove them by putting them there. This is what the Torah is telling us about this story. There are a couple of problems we have with this story. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to be answering all the questions. I think for me, the biggest question and what I would like to focus today on is, what would we expect Yaakov to do with those idols? Those idols were confiscated because they got them when they went to Shechem. This is how it was. The army that wins takes the booty. They take all the goods. That's the way it works, including the idols that was there. Bnei Yaakov did not get rid of them. They kept them. Okay, fine. So Yaakov sees that, says, this is unacceptable. Please give them to me, and let's what? He should have said, let's destroy them. Take those bad items and destroy them. How do you do that with Avodah Zarah? What did Moshe Rabbeinu do with the Avodah Zarah? He took the Avodah Zarah and he made it, he ground it into powder, dak, and then he threw it. That's what you do with Avodah Zarah. Why didn't he say, let's burn it? Why didn't he say, let's grind it? Let's get rid of it? No. He put them in a pit in a specific place. The Ramban, Nachmanides, asks the question on Yaakov Avinu. Why Yaakov Avinu did not simply destroy these Avodah Zarot? The Ramban is not happy. He's expressing an expression of being disappointed almost of Yaakov. Why didn't you destroy it? But Yaakov chose not to destroy it. And that's what I would like to focus on today mainly. Why is that? There's something tremendously important that we're going to learn from Yaakov Avinu at this point. The Yerushalmi, Talmud Yerushalmi, an even earlier source, the Talmud Yerushalmi also accuses Yaakov of doing something wrong here. It hints, at least, at that, because the Talmud Yerushalmi tells us the following, I quote, Rabbi Ishmael went to Shechem and noticed some non-Jews bowing to the mountain. So Rabbi Ishmael told them, you may not realize it, but you are not really worshiping the mountain, but the images that lie underneath. Rabbi Ishmael is telling you, you may not even know, you don't even realize, but you're bowing here to the mountain. You think what attracts you is the mountain. There's another attraction there. It's the idols that Yaakov took, and he put them there. If you would have destroyed them, you wouldn't have worshipped this mountain. It's the connection that exists with this place. So the Yerushalmi is not happy with what Yaakov did. So we are left with the question, why did Yaakov do this? Why didn't he destroy these items? Before we answer the question, I would like to ask you something, and unfortunately, I cannot unmute you all now, but just think about the following question to yourselves. Imagine we do a little idol burying, a burying of things that we don't like, of things that we would like to potentially or theoretically get rid of. Imagine Yaakov calls all of us and says, friends or grandchildren, I don't know how he's going to address us. He's going to say, come, let's go to the pit. Put in this pit in 2020 whatever you feel should belong there. What do you want to get rid of? What would you want to get rid of and put it in this pit? Some would think maybe a TV screen. Sometimes it could bring some things that are so unimportant. Fake news that comes through that. The fake news era, 2020. Some would take a phone. And there are sometimes you want to take this and just throw it in the pit. You want to do that. You want to throw out the Corona? I don't know if it fits in the pit. You want to throw things, each one takes something, you want to throw it in the pit, but think for yourself. It could be an attitude you want to throw in the pit. It could be something personal, whatever it is you want to throw in the pit. Maybe it would be money that you want to throw in the pit. Sometimes money could bring a lot of problems. Gold. It could be technology that you had enough of. Maybe, I don't know. Anything that makes us miserable, you want to take that and throw it in the pit. I would call that spiritual house cleaning. What would you put in there? So there's something I want to tell you, by the way, it's very interesting. You know that when you do a Hanukkah Habayit, you invite your friends and you read a certain text. The text is long, so we separate it between the people. And then you're happy, you serve some good food. I remember that when we did Victor Cohen's Hanukkah Habayit in this beautiful Florida apartment. Remember, Victor? It was a Friday morning. It's the first time in my life that I ate kibbeh at 9 a.m. Kibbeh at 9 a.m. Even at 5 p.m. I have difficult time to swallow because I know it's raw meat. But at 9 a.m., I put some ka'ak and coffee. Anyways, it was beautiful, Victor. I love you. Now, having said so, when you do Hanukkah Habayit, you read certain texts. One of the texts that we read is the halachot of the Bet HaMikdash of the Rambam, in Chot Bet HaBechira. And many times when I'm in Hanukkah Habayit, I discuss that fact with the owners of the house. Why are we reading the halachot of the Bet HaMikdash in a regular house? It has nothing to do one with the other. And then I share what I think is the truth and the answer to this question. It's because the Bet HaMikdash is a structure. This structure of the Bet HaMikdash is very complicated. A lot of rules, a lot of laws. You know why? Because it hosts the Shekhinah. Because the Shekhinah is inside the Bet HaMikdash. The temple is the highest level of Kiddusha that exists. And I say, the same way the Bet HaMikdash, some things could go in and some things cannot go in. So too in a house, we have to be that filter. The door, the mezuzah, should be the moment that you ask yourself, should I bring this in or not? Be it a physical thing that will be doing good for the house or not good for the house. Be it the concept that I want to bring home. Be it whatever you want. But you have to ask yourselves, we have to ask ourselves, is this something good that I'm bringing in? Or this is something negative? The house is a safe haven. It's a place that is a protection for the kids, for the spouses, for the shalom bayit, for all these things. And the same way the Bet HaBechira, the Bet HaMikdash is a place with Kiddusha, is a place that we think what could go in, what not. Tum'ah is not allowed inside the Bet HaMikdash. A person who is in a state of impurity is not allowed to go in. Not all animals could come into the Bet HaMikdash. There's questions that we ask ourselves. So too in our houses. We have to ask ourselves, what am I going to allow here? And what am I not going to allow? Outside is freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of everything. But inside, we have to filter what comes in. This is our home. This is a makom kadosh. And therefore, today it's very difficult to have the inside and the outside because this device connects everything all the time. And so sometimes when we prompt it and say, I wish I could put something in that pit. I want to come back now to the question we asked before. And please remember what we just said, and all of us have our own thoughts on that and what I would put in that and what I wouldn't put in that. But regardless, let's come back to Yaakov Avinu. Why Yaakov did not destroy the idols. I would like to propose an answer that is first based on the idols, but then based on many, many things. Is the idol bad? I would like to suggest the idol is not the problem, but the worshiper is the problem. The idol is not the problem. What we do with the idol is the problem. And I'll bring you a proof. Inside the Bet HaMikdash, in the Kodesh HaKodashim, there are two idols. You call them the Kiruvim. And I know it's hard to say there are two idols in the Kodesh HaKodashim, because idol is like, and Kiruvim, it's fine. But think about it, what is it? Two statues of gold. We're not visual. Why in the Kodesh HaKodashim would you put two statues of gold? Now, the whole concept of the Bet HaMikdash is a hard concept to understand. The Korbanot, all these things, there's a lot of Rishonim who talk about this. But I would like to focus for a minute on the Kiruvim, just to draw the conclusion that the problem is not the idol. The problem is what you do with it. By the way, an idol, anything physical could be an idol. You could make Avodah Zarah with a table. You could make Avodah Zarah even with a Sefer Torah. You know that there are questions in the Rishonim. Are you allowed to bow in front of the Sefer Torah? We do it. This is our minhag. We give kavod. It's for kavod. Because the Gemara tells us that bowing sometimes is a mark of kavod also. If you bow for kavod, out of respect, honor, reverence, it's mutar. But imagine somebody believes so much in the Sefer Torah, they made the Sefer Torah into an idol. Asur, you can't do that. We don't have anything physical that would have powers in our religion. Everything is Bura Olam. So when it comes to the Kodesh HaKodashim and I have two idols in there, I have two statues, two images called the Keruvim. I'm showing that the problem is not the idol. I'm proving that the problem is the worshiper. What I have in my mind when I see the image. What do I do with it? Why didn't we say in the Bet HaMikdash, which is the opposite of Tum'ah, it's Kedusha. Makom Kedusha, you should have only things that are not confusing. You should have things that are clear. You should have the opposite of Avodah Zarah. Anything that resembles Avodah Zarah should be kicked out. There should be no gold in the Bet HaMikdash, and definitely not an image or an idol. Yet we see the Bet HaMikdash full of gold, and we have two images in the Kodesh HaKodashim, the highest place, the most beautiful place, the most kadosh place in the world. Two idols. You know what we see from here? The problem is not the idol. The problem is the worshiper. Based on this idea, which I think could go deep, I would like to say what many Republicans said years ago. The gun is not what kills. The finger is what kills. It's an interesting concept. I don't want to discuss it. That's not the point. The point is just to think about, again, the idol is not the problem. The worshiper is the problem. The gun is not a problem. The one who uses it for the wrong purpose is the problem. Gold is not the problem. Money is not the problem. The potential problem is how I use it, how I relate to it, what place it takes in my life. And I think that's the answer, the depth of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu here is coming and he's teaching a great lesson. He's coming and he's saying, I'm not going to destroy this Avodah Zarah. You know why? Because they are here to stay. The world is going to be full of Avodah Zarah. If I destroy the Avodah Zarah, every time I have a problem with an Avodah Zarah, my reaction as a defense mechanism is going to destroy it. That means that if it's around me, I'm going to die. I'm not going to be able to survive. Guess what? That's not a system that works. A system that works is I could live with anything around me. So what did Yaakov say? The idols are here to stay. The idols, don't use them. But you don't have to destroy them because they are here to stay. Maybe those that could physically destroy them, and maybe later on there will be a halakha that if you have an idol, you have to destroy it. Whatever the case may be. But here Yaakov goes against all odds and he's saying, bury it. Meaning, know what to do with it. It's to not use it. Destroying it, burning it is the easy way out. We're not looking for easy ways out. We're looking for adracha in life. We're looking for knowing what to do in life. And I would like to suggest that it's the same thing for every area that is an area of difficulty, an area of struggle for the Klal Yisrael. When technology advanced a lot of people started saying, you have to throw out the iPhone, you have to throw out the internet, you have to throw out all these things. This is dangerous. Answer, gentlemen, ladies, of course it is dangerous, no question about it. But I strongly believe in the following. There is no such a thing as bad or good. It's all how you use it, what you do with it. It's always an equal opportunity of how you deal with a situation. You have an idol, don't touch it. But by burning it, you know what you're doing? You are separating yourself. You are making yourself small in front of a challenge. The challenge is there to stay. Don't turn around and close your eyes in front of it. That's not how you do it. It's look at it and decide how to do with it, what to do with it. That's how I believe a mature person should live his life. And that's what Yaakov is saying. I'm not burning anything. They're here. But I could decide to put them on the side. I'm not going to use the idols. I don't want to use that. I'm not burning it. It's here to stay. And I give you an example for that. I know there's a story of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was persecuted by the Romans, and he ran away with his son. You all know the story. And he ran into a cave. And he was in a cave, miraculously supported by God. He had food and drink. And for 12 years, he was there. At the conclusion of being 12 years with his son and learning Torah, being at the highest level you could ever be, 12 years being fed from the hand of God, Yomam Valayla, And then they come out of there, and he was very harsh. And he saw a person who was planting a tree. And he looked at him and said, Torah matele alea, what is the world going to be without Torah? You planting a tree. He looks at him, according to the Gemara, he passes. Borei Olam says to him, Le'achriv et olami bata. You came out of the cave to kill my world, to destroy my world. Chazor leme'aratcha. Go back to your cave. He goes back to the cave. It takes him a year to readjust his, I don't know if it's the right word, I was going to say his fanatism, his extremism at this point. He was separated from society for 12 years. He comes back there, inspired like a Malach Hashem. It was harsh. It was a difficult adjustment. After a year of thinking about this and adjusting, he comes out and he's the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai who enlightened the world with his work. You look at this story, and I always wondered, I said, isn't this Gemara showing us something very interesting? You know, there are two kinds of life you could have. You could have the life where you like yourself in the Me'ara, you like yourself in a Bet Midrash your whole life. It's not easy, but I think it's easier than not liking yourself. I'll give you an example. I have a congregant who used to go every year for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur and a portion of Elul. No, Uman, we don't do that. It would go to Israel with the family. We don't separate families. Uman is a very bad idea. He would go with his family to Israel for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And I think when the kids became older, he couldn't do that anymore because they had class before and then class between Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur and between Yom Kippur and Sukkot. It became very challenging. The kids are a little older, couldn't do that anymore. And we're discussing how is he going to have inspiration in Surfside Shul. Surfside, can you compare the inspiration on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur in Surfside and the inspiration you have in a yeshiva? I think he was praying Kol Yaakov by Rav Yehuda Hades. This is like being in the Beit HaMikdash, you know. And he was worried. And I said, you know, I think they could get more inspired here than there. I said, you know why? Not because maybe the level of inspiration, absolutely, I can't compete with that. But over there, it's easy to get inspired. Over there, if you don't get inspired, you're a piece of stone. Even a stone would melt. You know, Birkat Kohanim in the Kotel on Yom Kippur, Neila. Can you imagine? I was never there. I could just imagine. If you don't melt, you're a piece of stone, which you're not. Your challenge now is, what can you do a block away from the beach? It's the same Yom Kippur, it's the same Rosh Hashanah. Let's see what you could do. That's your challenge now. Maybe you're not going to be there, but you could achieve a lot more. Because our role in life is to be ourselves anywhere in any situation, not to run away from our metziut, from our reality at this moment. If now you are here, you'll get the inspiration you need. Work on it. It's just going to be harder. It's much harder to be out there in the world, fighting your Yetzer Hara, trying to be a better person, than to become a great person, a great Jew in Bnei Brak, for example. We have much more challenge outside of that. Because the purpose of the world is to make choices. I'm not here, chas v'shalom, to say the people of Bnei Brak are not good. That's not at all my point. It's to talk to us that we are not there. We are in exile. We have our challenges. And one of the big challenges of technology and many other challenges. Yaakov did not burn them. Yaakov faced them. He said, bring them to me. What do we do with this? They're here to stay. I'm not going to burn them. I'm going to work with them however I do. And some things I'm going to put on the side, and some things I'm going to keep, and I'm going to move on. That's what he did. Because the same screen that could be showing stupidities is the same screen that could become a channel for education. We are seeing it as we speak. We couldn't do that before. So to say technology is dangerous, I agree, but it doesn't mean you have to burn it. Because if you burn it, you burn a lot of opportunity for good also. It's a package. Everything that is good is bad, and everything that is bad is good, meaning you choose if you use it for good or use it for bad. Nuclear power could threaten to destroy the world, but nuclear power has the power to move mountains, to make life more livable for man. And so we see Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he took that lesson, and the second time he goes out, he readjusts to this, and he becomes the Zohar. What does the Zohar mean? Zohar means to enlighten. When there's light, is Zahir, is Zohar. It's clear. But you first have to have darkness in order to appreciate the light. If you take light and you light it in the street in the middle of the day, you're not going to appreciate it. When you embrace the fact that we are having difficulties and struggles, then the light has an effect. It's by embracing both that you're going to have the best results. So here Yaakov, very, very deep concept that Yaakov is saying here. I am not going to destroy these idols. The idols don't kill. The guns don't kill. It's the people that do that. We have to know how to deal with these things. And so everything that we thought we're going to throw in the pit, take it back. Take it back out of the pit and think how you could use it for good. How you could deal with it. How to face it. That's how Yaakov Avinu is dealing with us. I believe this is a very important teaching. And so I don't know how to deal exactly with the Ramban's criticism, because the Ramban is criticizing Yaakov Avinu straight, but Yaakov clearly had a mindset here. And maybe he was taking a risk that many wouldn't have taken. But I think this risk is very, very relevant for us. To take those things that bother us, those things that are not so simple, and to try to use them. I personally think it's a very important point to discuss. And I wanted to share that with you, ladies and gentlemen. So allow me to